This is an elusive haunted house that appears out of thin air somewhere in the world every year. Legend has it that this haunted house has a total of 6 rooms, but no one can walk out of the 6th room. For disbelieving companions made plans to explore haunted houses, but the entrance was already filled with explorers from all over the world. There are 8 people entering the entrance of the haunted house at the same time. The first closed door reads, "Be careful of ogres." After entering the room, 8 statues came into view. At first, they felt a bit curious, but after careful examination, they thought deeply and were extremely afraid. Because these 8 sculptures were curled up by themselves, it is speculated that the prop team printed these sculptures through 3D scanning when they entered the entrance. Someone tried to take out their phone to take a photo, but found that there was no signal in the room. Everyone was very curious about the statue, except for the bearded man standing in the corner with a calm expression on his face. At this moment, the light in the room suddenly went out, and it wasn't until 2 minutes later that the dim light came on. But strangely enough, all the statues turned like this, with a pair of black hands tearing open their heads, except for the short-haired statues that remained intact as before. At this point, the door leading to the next room was opened, and these statues were like a piece of advice to them. They could have completely chosen to exit the game, so nothing would happen. But curiosity still overcame most people, and only one girl chose to quit the game. The second room is a closed space, and as soon as a few people came in, they didn't notice anything unusual. With the flickering lights, a masked man suddenly appeared in the corner of the wall. He walked forward and carefully examined the crowd. Finally, he stopped by the female lead Xiaomei and whispered a secret to him. Then, he walked to the door next to a couple. At this moment, the light went black again, and by the time it lit up, the woman's husband had already disappeared, and there was also a long pool of blood on the ground. The woman was frightened and at a loss, so she immediately chose to exit the game. And their first reaction was that these 2 people must be mass actors invited by the haunted house. At this moment, the door of the 3rd level was also opened, and the cold bearded brother finally spoke. He asked everyone to leave quickly, and there was still time. The implied meaning is that there is no way out in the next level. Short-haired thought he was also an actor and followed in without hesitation. As Little May's best friend, Black Sister asked what the masked man had just said to her. Little May said that the masked man had actually called out her nickname, but only her deceased father knew about it. In order to figure everything out, he also walked in. Coming to the 3rd level, this is a revolving door where only one person can enter at a time, and each person's room is independent, forcing everyone to separate here. Xiaomei saw a long corridor, and at the end of the corridor was an extremely lewd-looking uncle. He was frightened and ran away in a panic, entering the 4th room. There is a large screen placed here, constantly playing videos of my father's suicide. Xiaomei also fell into guilt because he should have returned home at 10 p.m. that night. If it weren't for his playfulness, returning home early might have prevented all of this from happening. But what made him even more curious was how the haunted house would know about his privacy. At this point, the 5th door was opened and there was no exit now. After hesitating for a moment, he opened the door of the 5th room, but was surprised to find that the layout of the room was exactly the same as that of his own home, and there was a statue that looked like his father sitting on the sofa. At this moment, there was a beautiful memory of his childhood playing happily with his father playing on the TV. He looked at this eerie TV with disbelief, and the statue behind him came to life. He kept approaching Xiaomei, and everything that happened now exceeded all the ghost houses he had been to. What is frightening is not how terrifying the haunted house props are, but their ability to reach the depths of the player's heart directly. The statue hugged Xiaomei into her arms, and Xiaomei was so scared that she quickly said she didn't want to play anymore. After hearing his demands, the statue let go like a staff member, but he told Xiaomei that she had to walk through all the rooms before she could go home. Xiaomei didn't care about his words at all. She pushed open the door and walked in, only to find that she had actually arrived outside the haunted house, and Black Sister had been waiting for a long time again. Black Sister said that after opening room 5, the surroundings were pitch black, with a strange large white ball in the middle. Touching it with her hand would still emit light and heat, but she was completely unaware of its purpose. The 2 of them waited in the car for the other 2 companions until the next day and did not see them coming out, so they had to go home separately first. However, when Black Sister walked to her doorstep, she noticed something unusual. The number 6 on the doorstep made him shiver. Is this small town room 6? Xiaomei didn't notice the room number at the door, but when he walked into the room and went upstairs, he saw an unbelievable scene where his deceased father appeared at home. At this moment, Black Sister also arrived at Xiaomei's house, and the father recognized Black Sister at a glance. As usual, the father made Xiaomei's favorite egg pancakes. Black Sister was very calm about this moment, and then pulled Xiaomei out. He believed that the entire town was room 6 of the haunted house, and they were still trapped in the haunted house. The father inside must be a virtual person, because Black Sister did not believe that the person who was cremated could be reborn, and urged Xiaomei to find a way out with him. but Xiao Mei refused his proposal. He wanted to stay here and investigate why his father committed suicide that night. He and his mother were left alone, and from their conversation, they learned a message that after Xiao Mei's father committed suicide, when Xiao Mei needed comfort the most, Black Sister did not appear by his side. At this moment, Black Sister also feels deeply guilty. Seeing that Xiao Mei couldn't be persuaded, Black Sister had to leave alone to find other companions. In the evening, my father accompanied Xiao Mei to the swimming pool and he recounted the beautiful memories of taking my daughter swimming when I was a child. But when Xiao Mei entered the swimming pool, a strange scene happened. After diving into the water 2 meters deep, I couldn't see it all. It was like an endless abyss below. After Xiao Mei fell asleep, his father pushed open his door and walked up to her, touching her forehead with his hand. In Xiao Mei's mind, memories of her mother surged wildly one after another. Originally, my father was absorbing Xiao Mei's memories. Just as he was absorbing his memories, a pool of black liquid began to emerge from the basement, and then Xiao Mei's mother emerged from the liquid. After his father arrived at the basement, he broke Xiao Mei's mother's arm, but inside it were not blood and meat, but rather memory particles that looked like pomegranates, and greedily nibbled on them. On the other side, Curly and Xiaoshuai just came out of the haunted house. When Curly found his home, he found that there was another woman in it, and there was an identical person in it. Through their conversation, it was learned that Curly Hair number 2 is his other side. In the real world, Curly Hair is timid and has never touched a girl's hand. He is very eager to have a girlfriend, and after arriving here, Curly Hair number 2 is his reflection because room 6 in the haunted house can amplify the negative emotions of the challenger. They rely on Western-style memories for a living, but Curly Hair number 2 has greater ambitions, and Western-style memories cannot satisfy him. So he walked up to Curly 1 and used a beer bottle to kill him, wanting to replace him and return to the real world, and burn Curly 1's body. And why are only his statues in the first room intact as before? Because he was already killed by Curly 2 before his memory was diluted. The scene comes to Brother Beard's side. Why is he so calm in the first room? It turned out that he had once taken his wife into a haunted house before. After the two parted ways in the third room, Beard Brother quickly noticed something unusual in the sixth room. Then he accidentally found his way out, but it wasn't until the haunted house disappeared that his wife didn't come out of it. This was his second time entering the haunted house and he quickly discovered his wife, but he found something unusual on his clothes. The wife tried her best to explain the little things they had before, but Brother Beard realized that the wife in front of him must be fake, fabricated based on his emotions in room 6, so he decisively took out a pistol and killed the other party. Because the challenger trapped here will have some missing memories, his wife may have been trapped here for a year, and his memories may have been gnawed away long ago. Then he quickly found his own home, and as expected, his wife had completely forgotten about him because his memories had been swallowed up by room 6. It has been proven that this is the essence of a wife. On the other side, Xiao Mei finally noticed something unusual. She saw a model of her mother's face in the trash can, but memories of her mother slowly disappeared from her mind. She finally believed that the person in front of her was not her own father. She wanted to leave here, but was stopped by the other party. Helpless, she had to find an excuse to go upstairs and calm down. She wanted to open the window and escape from here, but the doors and windows were tightly sealed. At this moment, the father outside the door began to get angry. Xiao Mei quickly opened the wardrobe, wanting to hide, but pushed it open and ended up in the swimming pool, because this was a fictional event created by the challenger, and this was one of the loopholes in it. Xiao Mei, who climbed ashore, ran for her life frantically, while her fake father chased after her relentlessly. On the other hand, Curly Hair number 2 also found Black Sister and Xiao Shuai. At this time, they had not yet realized that Curly Hair was fake. After some discussion, the three of them decided to go find Xiao Mei and take her away together. On the way to Xiao Mei's house, I happened to find Xiao Mei running for her life. Black Sister quickly rescued her. Xiao Mei told Black Sister about her memory loss, but Black Sister was not surprised at all because the white ball was Black Sister's virtual object. Black Sister was always afraid of facing life and death due to her mother's death before. So during the time when Xiao Mei's father passed away, Black Sister, as her best friend, was unable to be by her side. Since she discovered that the white ball could devour memories, she took the initiative to reach out and let it devour this unforgettable past. Watching Black Sister fall asleep, Xiao Mei originally wanted to go out for a walk, but as soon as she opened the curtains, she discovered the boundaries of the virtual world. Accompanied by Xiao Shuai, the two of them prepared to search for an exit and chatted, bringing their relationship closer. Then they arrived at the highest point of the town and found that the entire town was surrounded by an energy, with a gap that looked like an exit. At this point, Beard Brother also found them and confirmed that the place Xiao Mei saw was the exit. So everyone decided to set off early tomorrow morning. At night, Xiao Mei couldn't sleep. He came to Xiaoshuai's room and the two quickly established their romantic relationship. The next day, Curly Hair number 2's skin began to rot, and this scene happened to be seen by Xiaoshuai. However, he did not reveal curly hair number two's identity. It seems that Xiao Shuai is not a good person either, because he is the only one left in room 6 and has not appeared in a single scene. Beard Brother was about to leave with his wife's body, but on the way, everyone once again discovered a strange scene. In an iron cage, there is a neat family locked up, but they can't control too much now. It's important to find an exit first. On the way, they found that the residents here were very strange. The way the children had breakfast was by resting on their mother's head, absorbing his memories, and walking through a patch of grass until it was dark. They finally arrived at the end of the virtual world, passing through the cornfield in front of them, and everyone could return to the real world. Curly Hair 2 is eager to enter, but the cornfield is filled with hungry virtual humans everywhere. Although they can only devour their own memories, for safety reasons, everyone still decided to leave tomorrow. At this moment, Black Sister seemed to hear something, and he walked uncontrollably towards the direction of the small town. Beard Brother knew that this was a ghost caused by a virtual human. He handed his wife over to Curly Hair number 2 to take care of, and then quickly caught up with the money and stopped Black Sister. As soon as Kohugo left, the virtual person in the cornfield rushed over and began to crazily suck on the memories of Huhuji's wife. However, since this was not his prototype, the virtual person did not extract any memories until the entire head of the woman was completely covered, and the virtual person did not extract any memories. The bearded brother who rushed back was holding his wife in agony. At this moment, he saw the decaying arm of Curly Hair 2 and realized that this person was not a real human. To test his hypothesis, Beard Brother stabbed him in the stomach, and as he expected, Curly Hair number 2 was a virtual human because they had no pain at all. As Curly Hair number 1's body had already died, his arm had ulceration, and he then spread the anger of his wife's death all over Curly Hair number 2. Then everyone immediately set off, and all of this was seen by Xiaomei's fake father. Everyone was walking through the cornfield when suddenly they were blocked by Xiaomei's father. He was very eager to get some memories of Xiaomei and begged him not to leave. Just as he was about to extend his claws towards Xiaomei, he suddenly stopped again. Perhaps a hint of fatherly love in his heart prevented his behavior, because in Xiaomei's memory, his father loved him very much. Therefore, the virtual father in room 6 also inherited this fatherly love, and he asked Xiaomei and her to leave quickly. Then a few people arrived at the end of the cornfield, where they did indeed see the hidden haunted house. However, strangely enough, only 3 people came out of the cornfield, and Xiao Shuai was nowhere to be seen. As soon as they could return to the real world, Beard Brother suddenly stopped walking. Now that his wife has left him, Bearded Brother, who was heartbroken, has decided to stay and destroy this place. With the experience of clearing the previous level, the two of them quickly arrived at the 3rd level. This time, they chose to enter together, and soon arrived at the 5th level, which was still Xiaomei's father. Under the persuasion of his best friend, he let go of his obsession this time, pushed open the door, and finally returned to the real world. The story should have ended here. Unexpectedly, Xiaomei's virtual father also followed him out. He reached out his hand to Xiaomei, who was sleeping soundly, and absorbed a memory of the little dog. Originally, just after the two of them left, Beard Brother was preparing to set fire to this place, but unexpectedly encountered Xiaomei's virtual father. The two engaged in a life and death battle, and in the end, Beard Brother was killed by the other party. At this moment, Xiao Shuai and Heijie arrived at Xiaomei's house and happened to see their virtual father eating. They then knocked him down with a stick, and Xiaomei was awakened by the sound. The virtual father hoped to live with Xiaomei and said he could control his appetite. As long as Xiaomei can regularly feed herself some memories, she can survive in the real world. Xiaomei did not agree to his request and locked her virtual father in the basement. How to deal with him now has become a problem for the 3 of them. Black Girl advocates getting rid of him and persuading Xiaomei to recognize her family, but Xiaomei cannot bear it in her heart. Because in the morning, my mother called and told him the truth about my father's death. When my father went bankrupt due to his business, not only did the family owe a large amount of money, but they also lost money on the house and Xiaomei's education. In order not to implicate his family, his father used drugs to cause allergic death and fraudulently obtained a large amount of insurance money, which also helped the mother and daughter get through the most difficult time. Although the current father is not real, let Xiaomei kill her, but Xiaomei still cannot take action. At this moment, Xiao Shuai came up with a solution, which was to send her in before the haunted house disappeared. Helplessly, she had no choice but to agree to this solution. Xiao Shuai escorted the two of them all the way to the door of the haunted house. By the time Black Sister arrived, the haunted house had already disappeared and would not appear again until a year later. As the screen changes, Xiaomei has been trapped here for a whole year. She has accepted the life here like the wife of Brother Beard. My father only sucks on some irrelevant memories every time, and before each memory is sucked, Xiaomei will also jot down the forgotten content in her notebook. He also lives here with Xiao Shuai. On that day, they discovered that the small town had suddenly taken on a new look, which meant that haunted houses had reappeared in a new place in the real world. At the same time, Black's sister did not give up searching for the haunted house. On this day, he finally found relevant clues about the appearance of the haunted house. The door was still filled with challengers. In order to save Xiao Mei, he walked in without hesitation. In room 6, they quickly met Xiao Shuai and then passed by the eerie iron cage. From their communication, it was learned that Xiao Shuai was an orphan who had always longed for a home since childhood. Later, someone adopted him, but his childhood was not happy, and the few people inside the iron cage are his adoptive family members. The virtual person is locked in the iron cage and cannot suck on Xiao Shuai's memories, so there is no threat to him here. Gradually, he begins to like this place, where he will not age or consider external pressure, and can even get anything he wants. Watching Xiao Shuai become increasingly obsessed, Black's sister decided not only to take Xiao Mei out of here, but also to set fire to this place after he goes out. Xiao Shuai certainly couldn't agree with him doing this, so he walked forward, punched Black's sister in the stomach, and then locked her in a small black room. Black's sister once again saw the white ball transformed into her own fear. Due to not being able to receive memory feed for a year, she immediately couldn't bear it and wrapped the entire Black sister inside. But after the last heart-to-heart conversation with Xiao Mei, Black's sister has completely let go of her obsession, so in the end, she defeated White Ball and finally found Xiao Mei. But for the matter of going out, Xiao Mei didn't seem to want to leave. In order for her to see Xiao Shuai's true face clearly, Black's sister took her to the vicinity of the iron cage. In one of the houses, a woman with lifeless eyes was drawing, and she kept saying that Xiao Shuai was coming back soon. Originally, Xiao Shuai had always lived in this space. He kept bringing people from outside to this place, using the memories of these level breakers to feed the haunted house. This woman was Xiao Shuai's previous girlfriend. After finishing these words, Black's sister turned her head back to Xiao Mei's residence because she knew that in order for Xiao Mei to leave, she must kill her virtual father. Her father did not resist this, because his fatherly love was real. He knew that if his daughter continued like this, his memories would eventually be drained and turned into an emotionless walking corpse. Realizing that this virtual person was not cold-blooded and ruthless, it made Black's sister unable to take action for a while. On the other side, Xiao Shuai found Xiao Mei next to the iron cage. At this moment, 6 women whose memories had been drained came out of the house, all of whom were his ex-girlfriends. Xiao Shuai wanted to argue, but Xiao Mei, who was heartbroken, turned around and opened the cage behind her. The black hero who arrived gave Xiao Shuai a knife, while Xiao Mei's virtual father held him down tightly. Subsequently, Xiao Shuai's family stepped out of the iron cage, and in an instant, they couldn't bear it anymore. They tightly held Xiao Shuai's head and began to crazily suck on all his memories. As the black liquid covered the entire road, Xiao Shuai eventually turned into a walking corpse with no memory. Seeing this scene, my father, who is a virtual human, was frightened. Although he can control hunger well, it still poses a threat to his daughter. He doesn't want to see her turn into a walking corpse, so the virtual father put a rope around his feet. The last time I committed suicide was because I went bankrupt and didn't want to implicate my family. At this point, he hoped that Xiao Mei could end his own life with his own hands, because he knew that if this continued, he would eventually dry up his daughter's memories. Although the father in front of him was fake, for Xiao Mei, the fatherly love she felt was real, which also made her reluctant to take action. In order to make Xiao Mei let go of this obsession, her best friend stepped forward and helped Xiao Mei. As for why she wore a rope on her feet, perhaps it was because she knew that as a virtual human, she wouldn't die, and the rope tied to her feet could make her fall into an endless abyss, so as to permanently eliminate the threat to her daughter. The above story is from the second episode of the American TV series Supernatural channel, and this concludes the story. For those who enjoy watching a drama in one breath, you can follow us. Thank you for your support. See you again in the next episode.